Hello again to another Agakala Reacts, and today we'll be watching 10 actors even more impressive when you know the truth. What kind of truth it is, we're gonna learn in the video, and from whatculture.com. So, let's just go and see what's gonna be so more impressive about the actors that we didn't know, or I didn't know anyway.
We all have our favourite actors, those who either pour themselves into each and every role they take, or those who just manage to deliver reliable entertainment every time they step up to the bat. But sometimes they go even further, and in ways you may not have realised. I'm Ewan, this is What Culture, and here are 10 actors even more impressive when you know the truth. Number 10. Every Jason Statham movie has had a theatrical release. Card-carrying action stars are few and far between in the current movie-going era, and perhaps the most underappreciated of them all is Jason Statham, who, over the last quarter century, has delivered a consistent slew of commercially successful action flicks. But do you want to know the most impressive thing about the Stath's longevity as an action star? Every single one of his movies has had a theatrical release, with more than 50 roles to his name since making his unforgettable debut in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. It'd be reasonable to assume that at least a handful of his action vehicles went straight to video or direct to streaming. But no, they've all had a big screen release of some kind. Couple this with the fact that Statham has never appeared in a TV series either, and he's one of the few actors working today who has basically become a cinematic brand unto himself. Enough that he's been able to ensure all of his movies have had a theatrical rollout. While he might not be a bona fide A-lister on the level of, say, Tom Cruise, his consistent commitment to delivering the meat and potatoes goods has served him well for a whole 25 years. A true action great, and one I'll never be able to get enough of. Number 9. Samuel L. Jackson has a stutter. It's not an understatement to say that Samuel L. Jackson is one of the most persuasively spoken actors in film history. The man has made a career out of playing confidently outspoken characters who refuse to mince their words, and so he's rarely an actor directors turn to for soft-spoken, stoic portrayals. And Jackson's career accomplishments are all the more impressive when you consider that he's had a prominent stutter since he was a child. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Jackson revealed that he managed to control his stutter through the use of the word motherfucker, which presumably explains why it shows up so much throughout his filmography. Now in his mid-70s, Jackson still stutters today, and continues to use the word to help him get through speech blocks. And yet, across his storied filmography, there's not even a hint that Jackson is ever struggling to get his words out, or is projecting anything less than stone-cold confidence. Number 8. Jennifer Aniston turned down Saturday Night Live to do Friends. One of the great agonies of any actor's career is having to roll the dice on projects that have no real guarantee of success. And to Jennifer Aniston's credit, her bold gamble most certainly ended up paying off. While working as a young actress in Hollywood and trying to find more fruitful work than horror flick Leprechaun,
she was in Leprechaun?
Auditioned for 4 major TV shows before finally being offered a lead role on a new sitcom, which was, of course, Friends. But as the old adage goes, you wait for a bus and then 2 come along at the same time. Before she accepted the Friends gig, Aniston was also offered a recurring featured player spot on hit show Saturday Night Live. And given that SNL was a successful known quantity, while Friends was a new show with no guarantee of longevity at all, nobody could have blamed her for going with the former option. But Aniston, who saw herself more as an actress than a comedian, of course went with Friends, and the rest is history. Quite how differently her career would have turned out had she gone down the SNL route, though, is fascinating to think about. And more to the point, who would have played Rachel if she didn't? Shout out your best suggestions down in the comments below. Number 7. Arnold Schwarzenegger made his first $1 million from real estate. If you assumed that Arnold Schwarzenegger made his first $1 million from acting, well, you'd be dead wrong. And no, he did not make it from his phenomenally successful bodybuilding career either. It was something else entirely. Because Arnie's rags to riches life story isn't already impressive enough, I mean, it's basically the embodiment of the American dream, he was also actually a self-made millionaire by the age of 25. During the early 1970s, years before he became a Hollywood star, Schwarzenegger took the money he made from bodybuilding and invested it in real estate. Due to a combination of smart investments and luck, with Arnie himself born in the 70s a magic decade for property development, the land value of Schwarzenegger's buildings quickly skyrocketed, and he became a millionaire before he even knew it. This windfall gave him the financial safety net necessary to pursue an acting career in Hollywood, and we all know how that turned out. Number 6. Charlize Theron didn't learn fluent English until she was 19. Charlize Theron boasts one of the most convincing American accents in Hollywood, which is impressive enough given that she was born and raised in South Africa, but even more so when you consider that English actually wasn't her first language at all. Theron instead grew up speaking Afrikaans, and it wasn't until she moved to the United States at age 19 that she actually learned enough English to be fluent. Given that Theron began her Hollywood acting career just a year later, with a cameo in Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest, and a role the next year in Tom Hanks' musical dramedy, That Thing You Do, that's pretty impressive. Watching her early roles, you'd never guess she'd only been speaking English fluently for an incredibly brief period of time. Couple that with most of these roles requiring an American accent, and Theron's an even better actress than we all already thought.
Yep.
Number 5.
Have to give it to
Christopher
her.
Lee was the inspiration for James Bond. Bolstering the widely circulated notion that Christopher Lee just might be the most interesting man who ever lived, actor or otherwise, is the fact that he was the original inspiration for James freaking Bond. Through his mother's marriage, Lee became the step-cousin to Bond author Ian Fleming in his youth, and it's widely accepted that Fleming ended up loosely basing the character of Bond on Lee's own life. As a young man living through World War II, Lee accrued years of military service, including a stint working in a mysterious special forces unit which he declined to speak publicly about. He was later seconded to the Central Registry of War Criminals and Security Suspects, where he spent his time hunting down Nazi war criminals. And if you want to learn more about that, then be sure to check out our videos on war movie actors who were actually there, because not only did Lee fight in World War II, he also starred in films about the conflict when he got back to the UK, on top of being a huge inspiration for the character of Bond. Lee's military history reportedly informed Fleming's creation of 007, and fittingly, the author later offered Lee the role of villain Dr. No in the very first Bond film, though producers went with Joseph Wiseman instead. Lee did get his Bond movie moment a little over a decade later though, when he played the unforgettable antagonist Scaramanga in The Man with the Golden Gun. Number 4. Nicolas Cage's epic critical winning streak since 2018. I don't know if you've noticed, but Nicolas Cage has been enjoying quite the career renaissance over the last 5 or so years. The actor has largely ditched the junky direct-to-video joints and gotten back to appearing in bold left-field projects which, more often than not, have netted him solid critical acclaim. Since 2018, Cage has appeared in at least one film a year with a Rotten Tomatoes score of 80% or more, except for 2020, which, being the start of the pandemic and all, saw him release a few less movies than usual. All the same, he only barely missed out on 80% that year, with The Croods A New Age landing a respectable 77. But again, Cage has consistently turned in well-received films since 2018, including the likes of Mandy, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Color Out of Space, Pig, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and Dream Scenario. Pig was my favorite film of 2021, and last year's Dream Scenario still feels destined to become a cult classic in the long run. Factor in 2024 movies like Longlegs and The Surfer, and yeah, this trend shows no sign of stopping. All in all, a truly brilliant actor who never deserved to be shackled in meme culture or direct-to-video. Long may the Cage renaissance continue. Number 3. Val Kilmer impressed the SAS with his skills on Heat. Michael Mann's 1995 magnum opus Heat is staggering for a whole host of reasons, from its melodic and soulful depiction of LA streets to the duet its leads, Vincent Hanna and Neil McCauley, dangerously engaging until the end. Typical of a Mann film is Heat's commitment to authenticity. Mann based the story on a real-life case Chicago cop Chuck Adamson encountered in the 1960s, while the director himself went on ride-alongs in LA to get a sense for the frequency and tempo of the streets. This approach, of course, extended to the cast and crew, with Mann taking on ex-SAS soldiers Mick Gold and Andy McNabb as technical advisors, both of whom proceeded to put the actors through shooting drills so that they'd look convincing on screen, exemplified best in the film's explosive heist escape shootout. Actors Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and Tom Sizemore all looked and felt believable in their respective roles, particularly when it came to the film's combat sequences. The one actor who is said to have impressed McNabb especially was Val Kilmer, who portrayed Macaulay's fiery protege, Chris Shiherlis. So well choreographed and performed was the sequence where Shiherlis is providing suppressive fire outside the bank while the cops close in that it was actually used as an instructional video for US Marines when covering fire and retreat maneuvers. We've gotten lots of great tactical work in films before and after Heat released, the other biggie being John Wick, but that's one heck of a compliment for Kilmer's acting commitment and skill. Shiherlis is also the main focus of the Heat 2 novel, which Mann is currently filming, and yeah, I can't wait for that. Number 2. Gary Oldman is such a chameleon that he had to relearn his English accent. The legendary Gary Oldman is often celebrated as one of cinema's all-time great chameleons, with his penchant for disappearing into just about any role he takes, ensuring the audience absolutely believes he is the character every single time he's on screen.
Every time I see him, it's just like
himself so deeply in his work that, combined with spending many years living in the United States, he'd effectively forgotten how to speak with his native English twang. And so, while preparing to play the lead role in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Oldman had to work with a dialect coach to, quote, brush up his English. In an interview with Graham Norton, Oldman revealed that flecks of an American accent had begun to seep their way into his natural mode of speaking, and so he needed to basically relearn how to speak English for the role. And he knocked it out of the park, which is all the more a testament to Oldman's all-timer acting chops. And number 1. Hedy Lamarr co-invented the tech behind Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth.
It's incredible,
perhaps no actor on this list has made quite such an important or impressive contribution to society as a whole than Hedy Lamarr, who was best known for her iconic roles throughout the golden age of Hollywood, namely in Algiers, Boomtown, White Cargo, and Samson and Delilah. Though lauded for her acting talent and striking beauty, Lamarr was more than a skilled actress. She was also an inventor. More to the point, at the start of World War II, she co-invented a radio guidance system for Allied torpedoes that couldn't be jammed by the Axis powers. That's so cool! Though the tech was never used in the war itself, it did lay the foundations for modern Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth, as is of course used by billions of us around the world. And so, the late Lamarr's legacy goes so far above and beyond her well-regarded screen roles. She was also a tech pioneer who's arguably never really received her fair due. So here's to you, Hedy Lamarr. You were one really cool person.
Yeah. I read an article about her and it was absolutely unbelievable what she was doing and how intelligent and genius, pretty much. And that's cool. That's cool that she's on this list as well. The one with Gary Oldman, I do agree that every time I see him in something, it's just like, you don't think that he's an actor, he's just that person. That's what it is, isn't it? And you might hate him, you might love him, you might just don't care about him at all, depending what the persona is supposed to enlist in you. So, no, as always, a very good list, really cool information and stuff like that. So yeah, what do you think? Have you ever heard about Hedy Lamarr? I think she was an absolutely beautiful woman and incredibly intelligent as well. I never met her obviously because I think she died when I was a child, so but still a really interesting life. And so thank you very much for watching and I see you tomorrow. Bye.